When I first heard about this buzzer, I said to myself, aha, it's the way the Russians have of communicate with submarines deep in the ocean. Because you don't want submarines to rise to the surface where they're vulnerable to torpedoes and to airplanes. You want them deep in the oceans, but that requires very low frequency transmission. High frequency transmissions will not penetrate deep in the oceans. But you see, this buzzer is at 4.6 million cycles per second. When you communicate with submarines in the deep ocean, you want to be at about 100 cycles per second. So cross that out the list. We don't think it's extraterrestrial because the coding looks very much like a standard military code. Military codes are very difficult to break because they have what is called a key. A key may be 100 digits long. It may take you a century for a supercomputer to crack that code. This idea of the doomsday weapon was conceived of at the height of the Cold War, when it was really a valid military option if you thought that you were on the losing side of the war. Even if your headquarters are A-bombed, this device would automatically set off a retaliation, guaranteeing that everyone would die in the end. But those days are gone. And so I think that this is not the doomsday weapon, because what happens if it's accidentally set off? You don't want to send the whole world into nuclear chaos just because of a signal that was misread. Another possibility is maybe this is a decoy. Maybe there's no message there at all. Maybe it's just gibberish to throw off the Americans and panic other forces. Well, yeah, that's a possibility, but I think there are cheaper ways of doing that. Simply sending out press releases that unnerve the enemy would do more damage than having this multi-million-dollar system set up around St. Petersburg and also Moscow. During the Cold War, the Soviet Union had a far-flung military web of allies. With the breakup of the Soviet Union, it meant that they no longer had top-secret allies that they can communicate with, and therefore they had to have direct communication. 4.6 million cycles per second is what we have over-the-horizon radio. Radio bends as it goes through the atmosphere because of refraction, and it will go over the horizon, meaning that in principle, you could reach hundreds, thousands of miles with this radio communication. And then, why don't the Russians simply use the internet? The internet is a worldwide communication system, but it's open source. Anyone can jump in. Your next door neighbor may be listening in on some of these top secret communications. So you don't want to send top secret information on the internet. Now the Cold War is over. So why even have these secret transmissions anyway? This is standard operating procedure in the military. You don't want other people to listen in on what you're doing. You simply don't want the enemy to eavesdrop, even if we're not in the middle of a Cold War anymore. And so we do think that the Russians therefore encode their messages using a very complex key, so complex that even the CIA would have difficulty breaking into it.